Thank you for joining us for the pre-recorded video regarding simulation learning for the Lay Responder Program, Overview and Best Practices. My name is George. I am the training specialist for South Florida.
And this is Stephanie. I am the training specialist for Indiana in the interim for Tennessee.
So what is simulation learning? Simulation learning is an interactive experience for our students that creates a virtual world for them to actually practice the skills and knowledge online before they come into the classroom. These emergencies are referred to as missions and are used during the skills session. So that way they have a similar experience online when they do in the classroom, except the classroom part is the hands-on, where they get to actually use their body mechanics to show their competency for certification. Simulation learning is replacing all of our community class blended learning offerings. So at this point, you should notice that all of our lay responder blended learning has been replaced with a sim class. You should notice this in when to work. It should be designated as sim or simulation learning. So who can teach lay responder sim learning? Basically, any current internal lay responder instructor can teach sim learning so long as they review the program materials found in the exchange. So that would include the videos, the supplement for the instructors, as well as the mission replays, which are the student references that are provided to the students so that they can follow along with the skills. Now, the sim program materials are not on Instructor's Corner because we, at this point, only want to do the sim program internally. This may be released to our third-party providers later, but that would be on a timeline decided by national headquarters. I included the link for the Exchange site. If you have either a PDF copy of this or a PowerPoint copy of this presentation, you'll be able to click this link to go to the Exchange and review all the resources. Additionally, you could just log into the Exchange and search for sim or simulation learning, and it'll come up for you. So how is sim learning different from blended learning? Well, first off, we know that the admission policy changes a little bit. So there's no makeup for the online piece. If they didn't do the online coming into the course, we can't waive it with a written test, which is something that we were able to do in the blended learning program and that we're still doing. If there are any blended learning courses still out there, we would be able to provide them the written test. But if there's any sim course that you're teaching, we would have to ask them to call the Training Support Center to reschedule. In terms of glove removal, this is actually explicitly written in the sim manual that we have to have the instructor do a follow-along for teaching glove removal. This is actually something that hasn't been seen in our other lay responder manual, so you'll notice that that's one of the differences. Scenario style delivery. So in our lay responder program for both blended learning and our full course, it really just broke everything down into segments of learning that didn't involve scenarios until the very end of the course. And also in the blended learning, we didn't even do end of course scenarios. So here in the sim learning, scenarios start from the very beginning through the very end because they were able to do the simulations at home, so they're prepared for scenario-based learning in the classroom. Checking an unconscious person has been removed from the sim program, so they don't do that partner practice. They do the checking an unconscious person in combination with the scenario on a mannequin. So it combines checking an unconscious person, CPR, plus AED. We also have the infant AED as a skill in the program, so that's something that wasn't formally practiced in our lay responder program, and now it's actually part of the video and also part of their scenario practice. The instructor first aid demo is something that, again, we always discourage our instructors to provide demonstrations in the classroom, but the sim learning program explicitly wants you to provide a demonstration because now the emphasis is on the tie-off. And typically we want our students to know how to properly tie a knot directly on the wound, and that would require an instructor demonstration so that they could clearly see that. And also with conscious choking child, this is included as an optional skill if the adult conscious choking has been taught. Obviously, if you're doing a pediatric-only sim learning, then you would have to do the conscious choking child. And in terms of the video is not live action, it's cartoon style. And there's no course presentation like there is for our full course and blended learning program. So you would have to download the separate videos, or you can use the DVD. If you have the separate videos, you can download them to a thumb drive. Also, there's an option to stream them from YouTube via the Exchange. And then also, this is unique to sim learning right now because they get to watch these missions on their computer at home, if you have a really bad technical difficulty where you can't play the videos or don't have access to the video equipment, then you can actually omit playing the video to the students because they did watch them at home. And also, right now, we only have internal delivery of SIM for our community and full service channel. We don't have the SIM program being delivered at the moment to our third-party channel. And something else that you'll find that's unique to SIM is that they have Appendix C, which is an abbreviated outline of the whole program. So once you become familiar with all the outlines of the full SIM book, you can just start using the abbreviated outline in Appendix C, so that way it's easy to flip through your lesson plan. So I'm going to go over a couple of best practices, and Stephanie will join me in a little bit to also go over some best practices with me. The first one that I have here is completing the online demo for instructors. In order for you to teach SIM, you don't have to do the online demo, but doing the online demo allows you to see what the students see when they're practicing this program at home. So that way, if they have any questions about a particular scenario or a particular practice that they did on the computer, you'll feel equipped to answer those questions. And also, sometimes we have students that maybe had issues with the SIM program. So please don't encourage these complaints or don't endorse them in front of the students. Instead, just apologize to the participant and say that you're going to write it down in your after-action report. If the student was not able to print their certificate, say they had technical difficulties or it disappeared from their screen, whatever it might be, just take their word for it. They could show it to you on their smartphone also, or whatever other format that they have. But if they're not showing it to you and they say, yes, I did it, I just couldn't print it, then we'll take their word for it. But if a student is explicitly telling you that they didn't know about the online content or didn't complete it, then ask them to call the Training Support Center to reschedule. Remind them that all of the scenarios in the skill session are based on the activities that they completed in the online portion. Here's another best practice, videos. So you always want to have a backup when it comes to videos. If you don't already have one, maybe either reach out to your training specialist, or if you already have one, go ahead and download the videos to a flash drive. This is important because you never know if the DVD might be missing or it might be scratched. So it's good to have an option where you can play this from a laptop computer, desktop, and preferably if you have a projector. And in addition to having the videos downloadable, they're also streamable via YouTube through the Exchange. So you can bookmark these private YouTube videos to your browser. Classroom setup. So as usual with all of our programs, you want to set the class up in a horseshoe pattern. Since the whole course is going to be skill-based, you want to create the space for them to easily practice. And you want to have the adult mannequins laid out from the beginning with the AED next to the mannequin, because the first practice is going to include the AED from the get-go. All CPR skills have been combined, like I said, in SIM, so you want to make sure that they're ready to start with the AED on hand. And also leave the mannequins with the AED on the floor, because the same setup that they had for adult CPR AED, they're going to have for the child CPR and AED. So now I'm going to have Stephanie continue with our best practices.
Okay, so the next part is related to the AED, as he mentioned. So the program recommends to have one AED providing all the time for all the prompts while all students follow with AED. As George just mentioned, it's just smart to leave them there since we are using them. This especially is important when instructing to large groups during the coaching phase, so they can hear you. So again, make sure that you leave things as is. And some best practices for paperwork. You can write the offering ID on the board so that the students can write that information on their survey for you. That can be really helpful, especially because these classes are typically stacked. So, you can always, share with them on the board or, wherever you can post it for everyone to see the location code, which will be that 4-digit code. And then in question number 2, that's where they can actually fill in the offering ID they are taking the class for. So depending on their components, they have that specific offering ID. So you really do want to list, as shown here, by the course type and the offering ID with those numbers. And then, of course, the last thing is the question number 3 indicates the instructor number, and you can post that too for them to fill that out for you. That just quickens everything because this session is very quickly paced. So some best practices from paperwork continued on here are how rosters are to be submitted and what they should look like. We want to remind you that the rosters should be submitted and complete along with legible on the same day of the course. So that same day it's taught, please make sure you're turning in that roster. Students that did not complete the online content and had to reschedule receive a grade of NE, not evaluated, with the instructor comment of did not complete the online pre-course. That just is that additional information that we may need to know later on in case the training support reaches out to one of us as the training specialist. And some don'ts related to the lay responder simulation learning. So the first is something that we don't want to hear is that they're going to complete their online later. So do not tell a participant to stay and complete the online content later. This will delay the closure of the class, and those delay the students from getting their certificates. A student that does not complete the online content should be asked to call the TSC to reschedule. And remember, your community course must be closed within 2 hours by calling the TSC or logging into the SABA instructor desk. Some additional don'ts. Give the student the written test as a makeup. Again, do not provide the student a makeup written test if they did not do the online. Providing them a makeup test only applies for blended learning courses. Ask the student to reschedule if they did not do the online content. Another don't is handpick the volunteer for the first day demo. Do not select a student from the group to be the volunteer for the first aid managing demo. This may cause a student to become embarrassed or offended and could disrupt the learning environment. Ask the group or share with them that you do need a volunteer. So it is a true volunteer. Wait for someone to raise their hand or stand up. If you wait long enough, someone will volunteer. Another don't, checking an unconscious person as a partner practice. Do not conduct checking an unconscious person as a partner practice in the lay responder SIM course. This is now only done in the lay responder full course. The full course, which is the all-day classroom course format, continues to implement checking an unconscious person as a partner practice. Another don't, the instructor demo not in the outline. So do not conduct the instructor demonstrations if it is not indicated in the supplement. This adds additional time to the course, which is meant to be completed in an hour and a half. The only 2 instructor demos in the lay sim course are removing of gloves and controlling external bleeding. So again, just make sure you're sticking to the outline with this part of the class. Are there any questions? Well, please be sure to submit them to your training specialist as you review these online WebExes. For this session, please note that the attendance code is back. And there are only 2 sessions, so again, this is one of 2. Thank you for joining George and I for this section of the WebEx. And again, if you have any questions, please get in touch with your training specialist.